Hello everyone and a very warm welcome to the PDF Editor webinar. In today's webinar, we are going to transform the way you manage the documents in your SharePoint. My name is Clavin and I manage developer relations and support services. With me, I have Shravan, who is a developer in our team and he's also a development manager. But before we talk about the editor, I would like to talk a little bit about Mohimbi. So with Mohimbi, you can convert, edit, archive documents in your SharePoint. We also have a Power Automate connector. And when I say that, just understand this. We tightly integrate with SharePoint, right? We give the power users the tools such as SharePoint Designer, Nintex, and K2. And for you developers out there, we even expose a REST API and a SOAP service. So when it comes to your requirement in SharePoint, we are there to assist you. However, I also want to talk a little bit about PSPDFKit. Back in 2022, PSPDFKit acquired Mohimbi. And that is how the PDF editor came out as a product. We have the PSPDFKit editor, which is a mature editor, which is one of the best editors in the market. And we combined it with the Mohimbi's experience of integrating with SharePoint. When you combine these two tools or these two teams together, you have the PDF editor for SharePoint. And that is how we introduced the PDF editor for SharePoint to you guys. So that being said, let me move to the next slide. So what's new about the editor in 2023? Firstly, all of the features that you see on your screen is based on customer feedback, and we believe in continuous improvement. So what did we improve? We improved the way the annotations are rendered. We started supporting lightweight co-authoring. Yes, this is very interesting. I said lightweight co-authoring. You guys will be like, what is lightweight co-authoring? One of the things that is important for our customers is security and compliance. When I say that, our customers do not want to send their files to a remote server for editing. They want the files to be in their browser, and that's what we do. We do not send your files to a remote server. We go ahead and load the file, load the editor in the browser, and then load the file. So, however, we also support co-authoring on top of that. I will talk about this in details in one of my presentations. If you are an existing Mohimbi customer and if you're using real-time watermarking, it goes ahead and honors your setting related to real-time watermarking and security. We introduced digital signature status. That means if a document is digitally signed, it will tell you if the signature is valid, if someone has changed, etc., etc. We introduced area redaction. We introduced measurement tools. We introduced form creator tools, form filling and submission. And we also added a workflow for it. And that's pretty much it. I'm not someone who likes to do a lot of slides, right? We like real life demos. So let me go into my SharePoint online. Now, all of you thinking about, is it supported in SharePoint on premises? Yes, it is. We support SharePoint on premise 2013 to the subscription edition. So if you are on 2016 and migrating to the subscription edition, it is supported. If you are in the SharePoint on premise, and if you're migrating to SharePoint Online, that is also supported. So here, my friends, we have a future-proof product. Perfect, right? So how does the editor work? I go into my SharePoint and just click on a document. And that should open my editor. So give it a few seconds. You know, it's all about the demo gods sometimes. Okay, the document has loaded. And let me go ahead and talk about few components. Now, component word is very, very important out here. What does component mean? You go ahead and license a component. For example, if you just want viewing capabilities, you go ahead and license the viewing component. If you want editing capabilities, for example, content editing, you license only the content editing. So you can license components. And the first component and I'm going to talk about is the viewer. So what you see on your screen is the viewer, right? The viewer will help you render the document. We try to maintain the best fidelity. In fact, we go ahead and give you one of the best fidelities when it comes to rendering. We also go ahead and support case insensitive search. For example, if I type in learn, you see, irrespective of the case, it searches the document and returns you the result. We also give you a number of views out here. For example, the thumbnail view. You see, you can jump to a particular page, right, by using the thumbnail view. We give you an option to go ahead and look at the outline of the document. I don't have an outline. Very bad, Clavin. You should be better prepared next time. Have a document which has outline, right? But if you have an outline, it will be there. We have annotations, right? If there are existing annotations, it will be present. In fact, we'll talk more about the annotations and we'll see how the annotation pane updates later. Then you have bookmarks. Now let's say that I'm on page number 3 and I want to create a bookmark. I can directly create a bookmark from my browser, right? I can create a bookmark like this. I can jump to a page like page number 1, and then I can straight jump to page number 3 using the bookmark. Isn't that awesome? Finally, we also support continuous scrolling. You see zoom out, zoom in, fit to width and fit to page, and so on. We have got multiple options out here. So if you see now it's fit to width. So that's awesome. So that is the first component. Now, all of you guys who are thinking about what if my PDF is password protected, that will it work? Yes, it will. We also provide a user interface to put in your password, unlock your password, and access your document or your PDF. So that being said, that's about the viewer component. There are a few other things included in the viewer component, such as printing and downloading or exporting the document to your machine, right? Let's talk about the next component. The next component is the component that our customers love and use our product for in majority. Okay, for majority of the use case, this is the component that customers use. And the component is annotations. We provide a wide variety of annotations. When I say wide variety of annotations, it can be as simple as doing a markup. Let's say that I select a word, found to require energy and survive. So motivational, right? So let me go ahead and highlight this. Perfect. I highlighted it. The annotation has been added. We can add notes as an annotation as well. So if I want to add notes, so I can just click here. I can say, this is, come on, type Clavin. This is superb, right? Some motivational thing. So you can add notes to your annotation. Then you can do a free hand drawing. So let's go ahead and draw something on the document. Let's say that I want to draw something. So click on it. You can select the color. Let's make it red. And I can draw it, right? I can also erase it. So we go ahead and give you an eraser. You can erase bits of it. Now it looks okay. It doesn't look good, but it looks okay, right? So you can go ahead and add straight lines as well. If you think this is not good, you can add straight lines like this. We can add shapes. When I say straight line, you can add shapes such as arrows, rectangles, ellipses, and so on, right? Let me add a particular shape onto a document to just show you how does it look. So this is how you can add a shape. Perfect, right? So now that I have added shapes, another type of annotation would be related to highlighting the document. So you can also use the freeform highlighter and highlight the document or words in the document or lines in the document. So we provide a wide variety of annotations, and that's why our end users use it, right? But we did improvements. I spoke about improvements, right? What improvements did we add? If you look at the annotations pane out here, you see that each of the annotation, I'll again repeat, each annotation out here, you see that it has metadata. When I say metadata, SharePoint metadata. You have the username, the user who added the annotation, the user email, and the date and time. In fact, I should stop this and I should click on this annotation, right? If I click on this annotation, you see that it also tells you who created the annotation. Perfect, right? So and another beauty of our product is we'll group the annotation per pages. For example, I by mistakenly added this annotation. I can click on the annotation and I can just go ahead and delete it. Before deleting the annotation, we also ask you, are you sure you want to delete it? Yes, I'm sure. And then you can go ahead and delete the annotation. So that's about annotations. The next the next thing that I want to talk about is something very interesting. Very interesting, as in very, very interesting. Let's say that there's something that I want to change in this document, right? I want to change in this document. The change that I want to do is about, let's say that this is to, why are you crying? I want to say, no, why are you crying? That's too, it's not too motivational. I'll just use another simple word here. I'll say, why are you sad? In fact, I should cancel it and tell you a story. How would you do it if you didn't have our editor? Practically, you would have downloaded it and maybe used a client application, right? Or maybe you had downloaded it, exported it as Word, changed the word, again exported it as a PDF and then uploaded it, right? Too much of work. If you value time, that's not how you do. You go ahead and use our product, right? Now I click on the button. And now I change the text. So I have activated content editing and I just say, why are you sad? Right? Why are you sad? And here I can change the color because I want to make sure that it has emphasis. And you see, I made it bold as well. So you can go ahead and choose fonts, change the style, and edit text right in your browser. Yes, my friends, you heard it right. Right in your browser, without leaving your SharePoint, just like you edit a Word document. I'm happy with the changes. I'll save the changes back and it looks good. So that's content editing for you. That being said, let's talk a little bit more about stamps and images. So you can add stamps and images. So you can import an image from your computer or you can add a stamp. You can go ahead and use a preset of stamps. We have a preset of stamps here, but we can also create custom stamps. So I'll create a stamp saying Clavin review, right? And Clavin likes bright colors, so he'll make it red. He wants to display the date and time. So he's created a custom stamp out here. This stamp, I'm going to place it on each of the pages, right? Now, you can also go ahead and move the rotations or rotate the annotations or the stamp around, but I'll leave it like this, right? I can also do another thing. I can save the stamp. When I say save the stamp, you can reuse the stamp even if you close the editor in a different document. So the stamp stays in your browser. Perfect, right? Another thing, as I told you, I want to do is I want to copy the annotation. So let me go ahead and fit this to a page and then I will paste the annotations on the pages, right? So let me try again. Where did I paste the annotation? Okay, so you can use copy paste as well. That's the idea, right? So you can copy paste the annotations using your keyboard, right? First, I need to control exit. I need to get to this page and I want to go ahead and add the annotation on another page. That is possible. But let's go ahead and look at the annotation that I actually saved. Where do you find that? You can find it under stamps. And if you scroll down, you see Clavin review. It's there. You can add the annotation. So you can copy paste annotations. You can use stamps which are saved in your browser. You don't have to redo them again and again, right? That's how we go ahead and give you the I can say give you the freedom to add your own stamps, but different users will have different computers and different stamps and they'll see only their stamps, not other people's stamp. Okay, so it will be scoped to a user. So that's good. We have added stamps. That's awesome. The next component that I want to talk about is redaction. Now, if you look at this document closely, okay, you see that there are names out here. For example, rows M. I want to go ahead and redact that information. I've selected the name. I'll click on redact. I'll select redaction and I can say apply redaction, right? Once the redaction is applied, the data is removed from the document. It's gone. However, we introduced something known as area redaction. This was a feature that was being asked for. Now I can select the whole area and I can redact the information. In fact, I want to fill it with a white color such that the user doesn't understand that the data was there, right? I can just say apply redaction and it applied the redaction. Perfect, right? It applied the redaction and the data is gone. Isn't that awesome? So you can do area redaction as well. So before going into the next component, I want to talk a little bit about content. I want to talk about document editor, right? Document editor is one of my favorite components out there, right? So I clicked on the document editor button. If you missed it, I'll click it again. I click on it and this is how the document editor opens. Using the document editor, you can go ahead and add new pages to the document. You can select a page and you can move it around, right? You can move before, move after. You can also rotate the pages. For example, if you have pages which are upside down, you can rotate them. And you can also import the documents. For example, let me import a document from my local computer. Perfect, right? So the document has been imported. I can click on save at this point, right? So let me quickly check. If you see, the document has been imported. It's there in between. But this is cool. Let's make it cooler, right? We are super cool people. So firstly, I would like to clean up my document a little. I'll just delete the blank page. I'll just move this out here such that this too stays in the front. But what is cool? You can also import files from your SharePoint. For example, I can select this file and I can just click on it and it will import the file from my SharePoint. Now to have a better view, what I can do is that I can go into my thumbnails view, scroll down and search for the page. So here it is. It has been imported. So the document has been imported out here. So let me go back into content editing. Let me move the pages around again, right? So delete, come on, Clavin, delete this page. So you can import documents from your SharePoint. I'll leave it here. I'll move this here, right? Now you might be guessing why did Clavin deleted the pages, but why did it not reflect? Because I deleted it, but I did not save it, right? And when you import it from SharePoint, it always imports in the original document, right? You need to be careful about it. I did a mistake in the demo, but this is a good mistake because I wanted to clarify on this. So here I'll save the file, right? Now it looks good. I have it in the right order and I have the contracts on contract at the end. Perfect. Now the next tool, right, I'm going to talk about is the measurement tool. The measurement tool is one of the most used tool in the construction space, right? In the construction space, many of our customers love the measurement tool that we offer. Now let's go ahead and see it in action, right? So first and foremost, you click on this icon and the first thing is that you need to calibrate your scale. That means you need to set your scale. So firstly, you need to set your scale like this. Let me move it a little bit ahead. This looks good. And I know that this is not in inches. This is actually in centimeters, right? So firstly, I'll calibrate a scale to show the measurement in centimeters. And I should give this a meaningful name. So cm scale, right? Give it a meaningful name. I can also go ahead and decide the precision, right? I can say that I want the precision to be 0.1. So that's good. And if you see, my scale has been successfully set. Now that my scale has been successfully set, I can do the measurement on this document. Now, one thing I want to tell you, I told that it is very, very much used in the construction space. That's true. But we don't limit only to the construction space. We have use cases, real world use cases, where our customers are using it in different industries as well. And I'm going to tell you the use case, but at the end of the measurement tools demo. Okay, so just wait for it for some time. Just be patient with me. So here you see, I can now measure it. It shows me 30 centimeters, which is perfect, right? So you can measure using the distance option out here. The next thing is that if you have a square room, right? Or if you have a room plan or a floor plan, a rectangular room, you can use our shapes. That is the rectangular shape. You can draw a rectangle, right? And you can measure it. So here it tells me 449.6 square centimeters. I'll change the color such that that is a little bit different. So even for the measurement tools, you can set up different colors for different types of measurements that you're taking. For example, straight line or distance in red, where it's square, let's make it, blue. You can also do perimeters. For example, let me first select from here to here and then here. And if you see, it just snapped in. It's like 8 square centimeters. This is awesome. This is wonderful. But my favorite is here, right? This is the perimeter. The perimeter will help you measure the distance from one point. Let's say that it's a staircase. So from here to here to here to here, right? And I can go on with this the whole day and you'll be like, Clavin, stop it. To here, to here, to here, right? Right? I can just go on with it. So it actually went out. So I can do a Control Z on my keyboard, right? You can use your keyboard and undo the changes. Very important. You can also undo it from here, but let's use the keyboard, right? And you can just hit escape to get out of the measurement tools. So this is how you can use measurement tools. But now, my colleague doesn't understand centimeters for some reason. He says, Cliven, what is centimeters? Send me the distance or the measurement in inches with a loud voice, right? Maybe he's my boss, right? He just does. So what does Cliven do? Cliven goes in and will use the measurement tool again and will calibrate a new scale, right? This time he will calibrate a scale in inches. So let me see if okay, I'll calibrate the scale in inches. So 30 centimeters is 12 inches, I guess, right? Perfect. Yeah, it's 12 inches. So here I can say inches scale, right? You can name it better. You can have better naming conventions than me. I'm sure about it. But let's name it inches scale. And I'll just say done. So now I have a new scale. So now if my boss goes in and wants to check the distance of this line, he can click here and he can select the inches scale. It's 12 inches. Isn't that awesome? Perfect, right? So now you have two scales. And now you can measure the distance in two scales. And in real time, if you select it, you can also switch between the scales, the inches scale, etc. This is good. Now let's talk about something awesome, right? Again. So the awesome thing is like you have another way to do this, a simpler way. You can go ahead and use the scale. Go to the centimeter scale, maybe edit the scale out here. You can also display a different secondary unit. Now, if you want to display it in MMs, you can display it in MMs as well. And it will be displayed straight on the drawing or the PDF. Now, I'll say, Clavin, 12 meter, 12 inches is not 12 mm. Yes, my friends, I know that. It's a bug. Our product team is working on it and we will fix it. But this I wanted to show you is because this is awesome. You can show two different scales or two different measurements in a single line, right? And don't worry, we are going to fix it real soon. Now that is good. One another thing that I wanted to show and what our customers actually use is call out, right? They go ahead and use call out in when doing their measurements to add some metadata or to add some text. Let's say that this is steep, right? Steep down. And let me give it some number, just random thing, right? You can do something awesome with it, but I just add a number. So let's say this is a steep down fall, right? At this point, you see, you can add some level of metadata as well to your particular drawing or text to your drawing using the callout. So that's about measurement tools. Now that we know a brief overview and we introduce the measurement tools this year, right? Now, as I promised, before I forget, the use case, apart from the measurements being used in the construction space. So I was talking to one of our sales rep, and actually he blew my mind with his example. And I want to share it with you because you are on a real live demo. He told me, Clavin, our measurement tool is being used in the medical space. And I'm like, measurement tool in medical space? Are you sure about it? And he's like, yes, I'm sure about it. And I'm like, okay, tell me. And he told me, Clavin, you have ECG reports in which you have our heartbeats, right, going up and down. To have exact measurements of your heartbeats, they use our measurement tools. And I was like, wow, really wow. And this is something, again, I wanted to share with you guys. So our customers are using the measurement tools in different workspaces as well, in different industries, right? So that's about the measurement tools. At this point, I will quickly review my document, right? I'll review my document. It looks good. Annotations are there, and I'll save it. I'm saving the document back to SharePoint. Understand this. Just one click, it's saved successfully. Awesome, right? And what I do is that now that I'm happy with the document, I can directly copy the link to the document, okay? You can also automate this process using Power Automate, where once it's submitted or saved, a workflow runs behind the scene and it sends the link to someone, for example, for your boss for approval. That's possible. But now you can also copy the link and you can drop it into Teams, right? You can just remove this old link, paste it, and send it to my colleague, Megan. Megan receives the link and she goes ahead and will paste the link in her browser, right? But here is a scenario. Now, I have the document open and I realize that on the third page, for some reason, I forgot to add my stamp. So what I do, I go ahead and add the stamp on the third page, right? I just add it. I move it here. And at this point, what I do is that I save it. I save it. So, but Megan has already opened the document. So this is the moment of truth, right? So third page, come on, third page, right? And not the fifth page, third page, Clavin. So 1, 2, 3. So this is the third page, which is actually the fifth page. Sorry for that. So here, she doesn't see the stamp. She immediately thinks that Clavin has not reviewed this. She goes ahead and tries to add a stamp saying draft, right? She says, this is a draft. This is not yet reviewed. And she tries to save the document. Try to understand the use case, right? Clavin has added a stamp and he has saved the document. But Megan had already opened the document before Clavin saving it. She doesn't see Clavin's changes. What does happen now is the question, right? Will Clavin's changes be lost? Will Megan's changes be lost? Or what really happens? When Megan tries to save the document, here, my friends, very important, read the message. The document has changed since it was loaded. Do you want to load the changes? This is called lightweight co-authoring. I say reload, right? I say reload. I go back to page number 5. I see both the changes. Megan did not lose her change. Clavin did not lose his change. Both the changes are there. And here, now Megan can decide, okay, Clavin has reviewed it and she deletes the particular draft stamp and now she saves it back. So that's lightweight co-authoring for you. Why is this awesome? Because your files are never sent to a remote server, yet the users do not lose their changes. Perfect, right? So that's something that I wanted to show you. So that's awesomeness, right? That's awesomeness. But let's talk a little bit about SharePoint integration. SharePoint integration. Clavin told at the start, we tightly integrate with SharePoint. Let's see the tight integration. So I select a document, I click on the three dots, and now what I do is that I check out the document, or Megan checks out the document such that she wants to make sure that this time Clavin does not go ahead and make changes to the document. So she has checked out the document, and now she starts editing the document, right? She opens the document in the editor. So the document is opening, and she can see all the editing options. But at the same time, Clavin realizes he forgot to do another change, right? On page number 6, he did not add the stamp as well. So this time, or the mod admin is Clavin, okay? So the mod admin just realized he did not add the stamp. He clicks on the document in a hurry. He forgot to see that there's a checked out option, that the document has been checked out. What should happen in this particular scenario? Yes, you see it on your screen. What it tells you, the document is currently checked out by Megan. The viewer will open only in the read only mode, right? What does read only mode mean? You don't have the editing options on your screen, right? You don't see the editing options on your screen. Okay, there was something happened and my browser reloaded, but you see out here, there's no editing options on my screen, right? So this is how it is tightly integrated with SharePoint. So you don't need to go ahead and train your users to adapt to our product. If they are using SharePoint, they just need to continue using SharePoint as they did in the past. We go ahead and tightly integrate. For your SharePoint admins, don't worry about the permissions. The permissions are being taken care of. Let's think of something else. Checked out when started editing. That particular option is also possible. Versioning settings. If you have versioning enabled, it will just go ahead and create versions, and so on and so on. That being said, let's go ahead and jump into a SharePoint on-premise environment, right? Because one thing that I promised is that it works on both SharePoint Online and on-premise. So my final demo will be about the form editing feature. To go ahead and demonstrate the feature, I'm going to use a SharePoint 2019 server environment. In this environment, I'm going to go ahead and create a document library. The document library will be named as Form Demo 2023, right? I'll create this library. And in this library, I will go ahead and upload a form. But let's build a story around it. Let's say that I asked my colleague to go ahead and build a form. He partially completed the form, right? He did not complete the form. So let's open it in the editor and look at it. So here he forgot to add few fields, right? And he told me, Clavin, I'm in a hurry, you just complete the form. But now I realize I do not have a client application with which I can go ahead and add fields, or nor does Google or any like out of box browsers help me add fields, right? So in this case, if you are using the PDF editor for SharePoint, right, you don't have to worry, because we give you the form creator. Yes, we give you the form creator. At this point, I can go ahead and drag and drop fields right in the browser. So let's say that I want to drag and drop it here. Perfect. It also gives me lines, by the way, where I can go ahead and drag and drop it. I can also go ahead and select colors, for example, right? I can make it green and so on, but you get the gist. You can go ahead and customize it to a great extent. Another important thing, I also can add I can also add some fields such as signatures, which are like not easy fields. I usually call them complex fields, right? And at this point, I should have actually named my fields better. So I just say signature field. Now, why do I name fields better? Because later on, when I want to export the data from these fields, I know what exactly the field is, rather than text field, rather than some random number, right? So I can say signature field. And one thing, we have Power Automate actions with which you can export form data from PDF. And perhaps you can save it in an Excel file, or you can go ahead and update it in a SharePoint list. That's all possible. All possible. This looks good. Now let me add a button as well in the form. So I'll add a button. I'll go ahead and name the button as submit, and I'll give the button a meaningful name. Okay, a meaningful name as in a unique name. This is where the workflow kicks in. So what we are going to do, we are going to create a forms workflow for you. I'm going to do it live. Okay, Demogrots, please go ahead and bless me right now, because this should not break. So you need to go ahead and name your field underscore Muhembi underscore form underscore submit underscore button underscore. I know it's a mouthful, but yeah, you need to name it that way. If you name it, I'll show you what really happens, but just be with me for now. As of now, I'm happy with the form. I saved the form, right? The changes are saved. That's awesome. I'll close the form, right? But there are a few problems out here. If I reopen the form, right? Come on. I can still save the form. So for example, if I fill in some details and save the form, the original form will be overridden. There's another problem out here. Let me copy this and let me log in as a different user. This time I logged in as a test user. The test user, when he opens the form, for example, when he tries to edit the form out here, he himself can go ahead and delete the form fields. For example, he can access the form creator. He can click on the button and click on delete. I don't want that to happen. I want the owner of the form to only make changes to the form. The other user should be able to only submit the particular form to a different document library, maybe give it a unique name when they submit it automatically, and also redirect to the original document library after the form is submitted. Yes, we are going to go ahead and create a workflow around it. So what is the workflow? Only the owner should be able to edit the form. We need to go ahead and submit the form in a different document library, let's say in the form submitted library. Third, the form should have unique names, right? So we need to come up with some naming convention. And finally, when the form is submitted, I want to redirect the user to the submitted form library. That's what we are going to build. To build that, I'm going to create some SharePoint columns. So I'm going to go into library settings and I'm going to create a column. The column that I'm going to create is named as Muhembi Form Owners, right? This is the name. And I'm going to select a person type column. So this column is self-explanatory. This is the column where it tells you the owner of the form. In this case, what I want to do is I need to allow multiple selections because there can be multiple people out there that can edit the form, right? Or can be the owners to the form. And I'll say people only. That is fine. I don't want it to be a group. I'll say okay. So the first field is being created, right? I'll go back and refresh just to see if the field is created, or sorry, the column is created, and that looks good. Now I'm being lazy, so I'll just use the quick view to create the columns real quick. So what was the second point? I wanted to go ahead and submit it to a different document library. So I'll just use a naming convention. This has to be the naming convention you have to follow as of now, and it will be single line of text. The third one is that I want to redirect the user once the form is submitted to the document library, to the destination document library, right? So this will be of type link and I'll save it. Perfect. So now I need to edit the properties of this form. So I'll click here, click on more, and I'll click on properties, right? First thing that I need to specify is the owner of the form. The owner of the form is me. It's Clavin Fernandez. Perfect. Second, I want to go ahead and redirect the form or submit the form to the form submitted library, right? To do that, I'm going to go ahead and paste in a path, right? So it's submitted to the form library. It will take the original name. It will append the date, time, and it will append the username. Very important. Now, there are more macros out here that you can use. If you are interested, drop us an email. We'll send you a whole list of macros that are supported. Finally, I want to redirect this to a different document library. Where do I want to redirect it? I want to redirect it to the form submitted library. Perfect, right? So this looks good. Everything looks good. So moment of truth. I'll just refresh my browser once. Now, if you see he's the owner. Now, if I try to edit the same form, as a different user, right? What happened? Did anyone go ahead and see what happened? Something happened, right? No editing options are available. Why? Because this user is not an owner. At this point, you can type in expert. I'll fill in the form and I'll thank the demo gods as well, because it's very easy for the demos to break. But today, demo gods are happy with me. So Clavin Fernandez at the rate mohembi.com. I'll put in my phone number, just some random numbers. I'll go ahead and add a date out here, right? And this field, I called it a complex field, but this is a very, very important field. You can add electronic signatures. With this field, right, you can draw a signature, da 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 da. You can add an image as a signature, or you can type a signature. When you type a signature, most importantly, you can give it styles as well. I like this style. You can give it colors. You can give it colors as well. And you can add a signature. And at this point, I can click on the submit button. It tells me, do you want to submit? Yes. And it is saving the file, and the file has been submitted. And it goes to the form submitted library. At this point, right, you see a few seconds ago, this is created. If I just open it in an out of a box browser, you see the submitted form. So all of you present out here, if you have InfoPath forms, if you're planning to go ahead and migrate to a different product such as Nintex or some other form filling application, and you might consider this as an alternative. Many of our customers have already considered this as an alternative because products might disappear, PDF will not, right? And that's all about the demos, right? Let me get back to the slide and let me briefly run through it. So what did we see? We reviewed the annotations component. We saw how we improved the annotation component. We spoke about lightweight co-authoring, and we accelerated the signing process, as you saw in the last demo, by adding electronic signatures. Then we saw redaction. Why do you use redaction? To safeguard sensitive data, to ensure compliance, to protect confidential information and integrity. In fact, we can do redaction of words, or you can do an area redaction as well. Finally, we looked at measurement tools and how our users are using the measurement tools right now. I gave you some real life examples. And finally, I showed you how you can go ahead and use forms, PDF forms created directly in the browser, set up the form workflow, submit it to a different library, work around with naming conventions, and so on and so on. And that being said, this is my final slide before the thank you slide, right? On December the 13th, we are going to talk about the PDF converter. Yes, I briefly spoke about it, right? We can convert documents using the UI, K2, SharePoint Designer, Power Automate, etc., etc. Perfect, right? But we'll have an in-depth demo about the converter on the 13th. In this demo, we are going to look at few new features such as key value pair extraction. We'll use our new OCR engine, and we'll also review the existing features. We are also happy to announce that we have gone ahead and we have an extension. So all of you Nintex people who are migrating from SharePoint on-premise to online and thinking about Nintex Automation Cloud, we have an extension there. And finally, we'll talk about updates to the connector, that is the Power Automate connector. With this, I would like to say thank you to everyone who has joined this session. I hope this session was beneficial and you have learned something new about our product. We are open for Q&A right now. Thank you. Any questions? I think most of the questions have been answered. Okay, so Radu had a question. Can I stamp a PDF when the document has been downloaded? Yes, it's going to be in the PDF converter demo. If you can go ahead and join the webinar, it's great. If you want a demo, in-person demo, let us know. I can show you the feature as well. It's about the PDF converter, where we have a feature known as real-time watermarking. This is what I spoke about, real-time watermarking in my second slide. I'm not sharing my screen, but you remember that, right? Radu, I hope that I managed to answer your question. If so, just do a thumbs up. Yeah, Yarun, thank you. I hope this demo was beneficial. Perfect. So I think that's pretty much it. Thank you for all of your time. And any questions, drop us an email at support@mohembi.com and we'll be more than happy to answer any of your questions. I'll be here for next 2 to 3 minutes to see if there are any questions. If not, then we'll stop this session. Okay, so Shravan managed to answer Elaine's question. Phil, thank you for your kind words. It helps me keep motivated. Thank you for joining. Yes, I am enthusiastic, but it's all because of you guys, because without you guys, there's nothing, there's no one to present for. So thank you for your kind words out there. So don't forget to do the poll. I already told you my best feature. I'll just poll it for myself. Submitted my poll. Okay, guys, thank you and bye bye.